There is a way by which Trump's election's loss could have been predicted, even though, of course, it's always best to consider the candidates' charts first, and they also pointed quite strongly to Biden's win and Trump's demise. But a look at Stephen Miller's chart would have provided serious warning signs pointing to what was to come. This guy is totally detested by all progressives, not to mention all people with even a modicum of decency and shame, for his draconian ideas on immigration and his willingness to put it on paper so that his boss, the Lord of Evil himself, could launch them into action. It is said the idea of putting immigrant children in cages and separating them from their parents either came from this denizen of the dark, or else that he was a strong supporter and advocate of such policies. Turns out he was born in California, so his birth time is known, which gives us an accurate chart to work with. Capricorn rising, with Neptune in the rising sign trine a Virgo sun, and Saturn, the ruler of the ascendant, square Mars, while trining Venus, is an astrological picture that easily correlates with the conservatism of Saturn and the willingness to apply restrictions and limits. The square to Mars makes for the severity and the cruelty that he is then more than willing to give philosophy and voice to via that Jupiter-Mercury opposition. The trine to Venus will make him loyal to whoever he's serving, particularly since Venus is in the 7th house of relationships and, of course, as one would expect, right next to Trump's Venus, so he can kiss his rear end constantly while expressing steady, undying love and commitment. Pluto is in an out of sign but still valid geometric square to that same Venus, and this, together with all the Saturn patriarchal paternalistic action, is what inclines him toward the full-on fascism he is not only known to espouse, but has actually been heard to express more than once on live TV. At one point, he most infamously said, "The president's total powers shall not be questioned." Jupiter makes a nice aspect to the moon, a sextile, but it also opposes Mercury and squares the midpoint of Pluto-Saturn to bring in the dark side of Jupiter, arrogance, together with Pluto-Saturn, authoritarianism and fascism. So what was the astrology for getting this job in the first place? Back in 2016, Jupiter was transiting through his 10th sign and zenith of career, while Saturn was making trines to Mercury and Mars. He has had this job with Jupiter transiting through the 4th quadrant of profession, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. So why then did I say this chart was flashing red warning lights concerning this year's election? Because the triple planet Capricorn stellium was directly opposed to his Venus, which is the ruler of his 10th house and zenith point. All three of those planets enjoy birth trines and sextiles, but they are also involved in significant squares and oppositions. So having them pointing straight at your career ruler isn't likely to turn out well. And so, like his boss, he now needs to look for a new job. I hear that Count Dracula is looking for an assistant.